Hello everyone, I intend for this to be the ultimate guide to importing custom models into Horizon Worlds. Wish me luck. So, yes, this is it's actually take 3. Um, anyway, here we are in Horizon, and the first thing we want to do is just get an easy win under our belt. So, I've got a new folder I've created, so I clicked Add New Folder, and this is where we're going to upload our models today. I'll click Update Upload 3D Model. I don't want to preserve any offset pivots. This would be useful if you need like a door that opens around a hinge, that sort of thing. For now, turning this off means it'll be centered on the center of the object. Heading into Downloads, I have another folder with a step stool in it. And we'll just go ahead and select the step stool, press Open, and Import. Now there's a texture that goes along with it, so I'm going to add new texture. Choose File on Device, and the base color is what I'm looking for. Press Open and Import, and our step stool is ready to go. We'll right-click and place. We've got our texture coming out. If we F key on our keyboard, we can select that. Alt left-click, we can look around it. We can see there is no color. It's kind of weird that it's got that like pink lighting thing going on in the center. Not sure what that's about, but what we can do is selecting this, select texture, and select the texture that we just uploaded. And now it looks correct. F key and Alt look around. Very nice. It's that simple. That's the easy way to upload 3D models. Now, there are some ways to make this better. For instance, you might notice that these are metallic, and we might want to make them look metallic. And I'd like to show you a little bit about how we can we'll just start with this model, and then we're going to cover all of the features that are available. So the first thing we're going to need to do is take a look at what our step stool came with. So opening up here in our Explorer, we can see this is the base color. This is what we've currently uploaded. We know this gray is going to be metal, so we can use that to our advantage a little bit later. We've got material height here. I'm not sure, we don't have support for height maps. I'm pretty sure that's something FlexTie has been asking for a very long time. And I'm like, huh? So anyway, talk to our 3D modeling friends. But we're not looking at this from a 3D modeling lens. We're looking at this from the lens of how do I bring stuff into Horizon that we've like purchased or made, either or. Here we can see some sort of material mixed. Not sure what this is either. Very clearly, obviously has some depth. Something like a height map, maybe? I'm sure that's what these things are. I just don't understand them. As we haven't had them supported in Horizon, so there's no way to use them. Here's some sort of normal map thing. I do believe there is a way to use normals, of which I'm not super sure of. I think these things are just automatically calculated based on the shape of the model. At least that's my belief. I could be wrong. If you know more about these things, feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to pin it. Material roughness. This is a channel that we definitely have. So on the step stool, when we upload our texture, the texture's alpha channel can be used for roughness, but only if you upload the FBX and the texture at the same time. And so what that means, let's just take a look and see how that looks. Let's try to get this roughness channel into the alpha channel. So if we go to Blender, I'll need to open it up. And I'm currently running Blender 4.5.2 for anyone in the future, as Blender does change quite frequently. There we are. I'm going to go ahead and delete everything out of here. Delete hierarchy. And we're going to go File, Import, FBX, and we need to import that step stool FBX. Now, importing this step stool into Blender is only required because we need to match it with other texture elements. And to do that, when we select our step stool, we can go down to this material red ball icon, and clicking on it, we can see it has material.001 attached. We're just going to name this step stool. And by naming it step stool, this will allow us to link it to a texture with the same name step stool _BR. Now that _BR tells Horizon or Worlds, whatever you want to call it these days, that the texture has the base color in it in the RGB channel, that's the base color, and the alpha channel is the roughness channel. Now unfortunately that makes combining them a little bit difficult. Now here in preview mode, I don't recommend doing this, but if you do want to build your scene in Blender, you might click over here to the preview to preview your model. You'll then need to come down here to material, and mine's automatically linked up, but you might not have it automatically linked up. And clicking this yellow dot, you can select image texture, then clicking the open folder, you can select the image that it links to, and that will link it there. Now, with that set up, we can now have a nice preview, which is cool. But we need to go to texture paint. And here in texture paint, we can see our texture, and we need to somehow get the alpha channel to be the roughness picture that we saw just a minute ago. I don't know why, but I feel inclined to try and fix this, even though I've never done it before. I've always just ignored the roughness channel when importing to Horizon, but I've recently discovered how powerful the roughness channel is. It gives it a nice sheen, a nice reflection. So I went to ChatGPT and asked, and it says it is possible with nodes. I really should just leave it at that and give you like a really basic example. Yeah, so if you're interested, give it a try. I'm sure there's some tutorials online. What we are going to do instead is switching our painting tool from mix to erase alpha, because I just mentioned it's stored in the alpha channel, and we know that the metal should be shiny, right? Let's erase 50% or maybe 40% of the alpha channel for this metal area, and increase the radius up to around 100 so it's easier to erase. And then we're just going to kind of do it manually by painting. It's not going to be perfect, but doing this should give us a much shinier metal. And we haven't even implemented the whole metal portion I was going to tell you about. So like that's going to be awesome here in a minute. I'd like to get this perfect, but I don't really have the time as this is just a tutorial. But you can imagine taking some time to get in there and get that just about right. So we'll just finesse it a little bit better. Yeah, it's close enough. There is also an add alpha, so if you really mess up, you could theoretically come in and fix that. Looks like that does work. So, yeah, technically, whatever. It's good enough. All right, so now we're going to click Image, Save As, and remember that this image needs to match the name step stool with _BR. So we'll click Save As, and then inside of here, we can name this step stool _BR. And this is a good point to notice that all of these underscores are something you really can't name. You have to use underscores only for the naming conventions of Horizon, because that tells the Horizon what these images are. So don't use any underscores, otherwise it'll cause you some issues. But now that we're done with this, we can now export our FBX. And we do have to export the FBX because it now has the material name on it. So we'll go ahead and call this step stool with material. All right, and then press export FBX. We can now head into Horizon Worlds, add new 3D model, turning off pivots, and then selecting our two new ones right there, step stool BR and our step stool with material. Pressing open, import, that'll take a moment. Now that it's complete, we can right click and place and compare it to our previous step stool. And I was like, is it really that small? Let's go ahead and copy the position of this one. So select, right click, copy position, right click and paste, and then W key, slide it to the left, try that again, W key, slide it to the left. All right, now if we look at this, we should be able to tell, F key and then Alt left click, we should be able to see that the left one is a little bit shinier than the right one. And to be honest, I'm not really seeing it. It definitely looks a little darker, which is kind of surprising. They look about the same. It's actually kind of interesting that this one's a lot brighter. How curious. Very curious. So then what we're going to do next is actually properly apply metal. And to do that is relatively easy. So we'll just go back into Blender. And then on the material name, where we had named it step stool, you just name it step stool _ metal. And then File, Export, FBX, and we'll name this step stool with material and metal. This name is getting a little outrageous. And we go ahead and click Export FBX. And there are multiple ways to do metal. So this is going to make even the wood look like metal, which is not ideal. So I'll show you how to differentiate that in just a moment. All right, add new 3D model, selecting model. We want metal with the BR, press open and import, and just give that a moment. All right, there we go. It does take a little bit to bring these in when they have textures, but the more you have, the longer it takes. Go ahead and right click and paste, W key, slide that to the left. All right. And I mean, I guess that kind of looks like metal. Metal does get darker, so I tend to make my metals white, the material, so that when they come in, they get shinier. And you can see here, this is definitely clearly where we're painting the roughness. So you can see that having it be smoother makes it also darker. Should be slightly more reflective. It is a lot easier to see the reflections when we're in Horizon. It's a little bit harder to see, but yeah, very cool. So then let's do metal without the weird texture. So I'm wondering if I just add new 3D model and I just upload it and then apply the texture at the end, if that will do the trick. So we'll give that a second because it should come in really fast. We're going to copy this position again and right click place, right click paste, slide that. All right, so here's the one that is metal. Now it has no texture on it, no roughness either. And now we go to select texture, select that new texture we uploaded earlier, and there we go. And does that look metal compared to the other one? I feel like I'm seeing some shine on it. It is hard to tell. Noticing that that painting might actually be the default painting. But let's see, do I see any sort of sheen on this one? It's very hard to tell. It's a lot easier if we use a sphere. So I think we should go do a sphere because that was the test that just sold me on this. Because these are flat, they're just not as reflective. Okay. So with that, oh, and I guess I did need to show you one last thing with the stool, which is how to make only certain portions of it metal, not like the whole thing. So let's go do that one last step real quick. So when we created this version right here, this is the one with the BR, and we had let's go open up the folder. So we have our BR, and we can use the other one since this one is a little, it's a little weird with the alpha erased, right? So let's just go ahead and call this BR alpha erased. So we can ignore that one. And then we got this version, which is the one that we want to use, Control-C, Control-V. And we'll name this step stool underscore BR. I theorize that if we named this BR underscore alpha erased, it would only accept the first underscore and it would ignore the second one, which theoretically means we could have multiple with the same name. I've never tried that though. It's a theory. Might try it here in a minute. So we got our step stool BR. Now we need an MEO. And what MEO stands for is metallic emission occlusion. And that means the RGB channels will correlate to those three channels. And since we know that, we're going to Control-D, oops, Control-Z? I wanted to, Control-C, Control-V on Windows, I forgot. And so we're gonna rename this one. And so this one gets named underscore MEO. And then we can right click, open with paint. And what we want to do is select this entire section and create its own layer. I'm not sure if we can do that, but we're definitely going to try. Or actually, here's a better idea. If we create a background color, so we turn on the background, we can select a background color, and the RGB values are going to correlate to the default values. Does that, or no, to the metallic values. Really haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do this, guys. I'm so used to like Photoshop where I'd have a little bit more tools. Because I don't think there is a way to, but I have a new Photoshop tool that is free. So maybe I'll just show you how I use this with Photopea. But theoretically, we could just dump bucket this. But I can't create its own layer. That's the problem. I really need that Command J feature or Control J on Windows. But theoretically, if we wanted to make this metallic, we would select a custom color, and under color, the red channel is the metallic, so we'd say 255, so it's 100% metallic. We don't want it to glow, so 0% emission, or basically be unlit. And then we don't want it to be occluded, so we have to set this to 255, which is 100% not occluded. It's a confusing metric. Then we just dump bucket this, and now this area will be metal. Now what I wish I could do is separate this into its own layer. What we're going to do real quick is just save this and upload it. This thing here is going to be bad, but I don't think I have any other solutions at this time until we bring it into Photopea. So we'll go to Photopea in just a minute. But for now, let's just see this work. Add new 3D model, choose files, step stool MEO, step stool BR, and step stool with material, not metal. And then we'll press open, import, and give that a moment. All right, that is just finished. So we'll go ahead and right click and place. And maybe this will be the last of these step stools. And so we're gonna need to copy position of this one, copy position, right click and paste, and F key, and slide this over. Okay, so having the color definitely messed up the wood texture, which is why we need to go fix it. But what we can see is the metallic has really well applied to the legs. And that's without the additional sheen or the additional reflection from the roughness channel. So you can see this is with the roughness channel. And yeah, so, okay. We definitely need to fix the wood texture though, and that's where Photopea comes into play. And I think this is a good moment to pause and say, holy smokes, this is a lot of work. Yes, yes it is. And I mean, we are at 16 minutes into the video, and we're still working on just one model import and all the little variations that come with it. And yeah, that's the point. Like, this stuff is difficult. That first thing you saw, I really wanted to show you how quickly you can get stuff in. But if you want to make it just like the exact way that you want it to look, it does take a little bit of extra work and knowing quite a few tools. Like, it does take juggling a number of tools. So we're going to jump over to Photopea, which is very similar to Photoshop. I canceled my Photoshop subscription. It was too expensive, and I found this free tool, and I love it. So let's go ahead and open that up here. Just photopea.com. Click open from computer. We'll go and find that MEO we were working on. Press open that up. And now that we have this open, I can stretch this out, remove the ads from your guys' view at least. And so what we can do is select the pink layer, just like that. Shift, select that little piece there. Ooh, did something wrong. There we go, almost. Okay, almost got it. There's something weird happening on the corners. I don't know what it is, but if I just drag through these little edges, we've got it all. Now if I press Command J, it's gonna separate it into a separate layer, or Control J. And then now that that's on a separate layer, I can turn off the background layer, add a new layer, and this layer is going to represent our default. And our default should not be metallic. So we're going to go to our paint tool here, and I can change the radius to be a lot larger. There we go. Now we need to choose a color. So for color, this needs to once again correlate to metallic. So red is metallic, we'll set it to 0. We don't want it to emit light, so we set this to 0. Although you could use that unlit to make some really cool effects. And then we don't want it to be occluded, so we need to set that to 255, so 100%, and then press OK. We can now paint the background, pressing Control Save. That's actually going to save the file on my computer. That's why I literally love this thing. I don't understand, it's so amazing. And then we can just upload that one more time. Upload 3D model, choose files on device, steps tool MEO, BR, plus the one with material, press open, import, give that a second. All right, that is just finished, so we'll right click and place. And then I've copied the position of this stool, so we'll right click and paste, F key to focus, slide it to the left. And now you can see that this step stool is the final best version that it can possibly be. So you get the nice wood texture at the top that's nice and rough. You get the metal texture at the bottom that's really shiny. And I told you that we can make an even better metal. Well, that's true. Inside of Blender, we can create a sphere, and when we bring that sphere in, we can make it really brilliantly metal. So let's make that our next topic. Heading back into Blender, we're going to go ahead and delete the hierarchy. We're going to switch back to Layout View. We're going to go Add, Mesh. We want a UV sphere. Under UV sphere, you do actually get some properties in here. You can change the segments, and if you switch to wireframe, you can really see these segments. So if you wanted to make it, say, 16, you can lower that, just make it a little smoother. You can change the rings to like 12, and just lower your total vert count a little bit. It's not bad. Once that's done, we've got our sphere ready to go, looking good. I want to show you one more trick that I think is really valuable. Let's go back to the preview mode. when you look at this, it's kind of, well, you know, jagged edges. But if you right click it, you can click Shade Smooth. And Shade Smooth makes it look really smooth. It's pretty nice. In fact, it's so good, I think we should bring in one of each. So in Blender, if you hit Shift D, that duplicates. We want to duplicate this along the y-axis, so I hit the letter Y on my keyboard, and now we have two of these on the y-axis. This left one will right-click and shade flat, so it looks like it was before. You'll note that there is an option called Shade Auto Smooth, and you can adjust the number so you can make it so that some of them appear. You see how that works? It's basically based off the angle, but we're going to shade flat. Okay, so we got one shade flat, one shade smooth, and we're going to make both of these the same. So we're going to add a material which will be called sphere underscore metal, and then we're going to attach that to both of these. So hitting the drop down, selecting sphere metal, they'll both be using the same material. Okay, now with that set up, we're going to File, Export, FBX, save that in here. We'll call this metal spheres because there's two of them, and then export FBX. We're not going to create a material for these, at least not yet. So we'll head back into Worlds, add new 3D model, and choosing File, Metal Spheres, Open, Import. Sorry, I'm like working on calling Horizon Worlds. I feel like I'm a boomer using the old name now that they want to go by Worlds, but also they've changed their name on me almost every year for 5 years. Okay, is it my fault? So here we go. We've got our two metal spheres brought in. They are very white. In fact, I'd almost say they don't look as metal as I was expecting them to. Let's ungroup these, right-click on parent-child objects. There I go again, being a boomer, calling it a group when it's now called a parent. It is kind of funny, though, to me, having been here for so long to see it. So yeah, you can see here the way these render. Let's bring them up above the ground and slide them over further. F to focus, and yeah, you can see they're nice. I mean, like, if you want to go for that low poly geometric look, that's a great look. But if you want to go for a nice smooth sphere, you can do that too. The part that's weird to me is it definitely doesn't look like it's reflective, at least because it's too white. Let's try changing the tint to be gray. Huh. That is really strange. I'd almost say it almost looks unlit if it wasn't for the shading on the bottom. And I gotta tell you, that's not what it looked like when I brought these in the other day. But I did upload them with the material, so maybe it's because I didn't have a material creator for these. Let's head back into Blender. Under Texture Paint, we can create a new image by clicking Image New. We're gonna go ahead and name this sphere underscore BR. And the color, you might remember, I like to make my metal white, so you get a nice shiny, not a dark shiny, but a nice white, bright shiny. We'll also remember that the alpha channel is used for, click new image. Oh, and you can see the UVs on there, that's nice. So remember that the alpha channel is used for making it extra shiny, right? So like smooth. So right now it's a rough metal. So if we click image, save as, I want to try this since I haven't done it yet. We'll go ahead and name this BR underscore rough and save as image. And then we'll go image, save as, and then we'll name this without the extra underscore because I'm like, don't use underscores. But my belief on the way that their system works is it's only looking at the first underscore. So we might be able to get away with that. Anyway, we'll have a second one just in case. And then we're going to go one step further and we're going to grab our erase alpha. So we were under add alpha. Let's switch to erase alpha. And we got it set to 39. And let's just erase the alpha channel, which should make this section, the whole thing really, will be nice and extra shiny. In fact, we can go a second time through here. Get that. Very nice. All right. And now we'll go ahead and say image, save as, sphere, and then we'll call this, it's not rough anymore, so it's now smooth. And then save as image. I'm kind of curious about this, why it's looking pink. Let's go back to layout view, preview. Okay, it is fine. I was like, oh, because it was whatever was selected last it was affecting or something like that. All right, minimize Blender because we don't need to do anything in here. We've saved the images, so now we just need to add these images. So add 3D model, choosing models. We're going to click sphere BR. Let's start with the first one, sphere BR. and metal spheres and press open and import and then add new 3D model. And then we're going to choose the metal spheres with the rough, open, and that should be the same as the first one. Those are the identical. And then we'll add 3D model, choose file, and metal spheres and smooth and open. And so far no errors have occurred. Oh, there we go. We got an error. Whoa, yep, there's the errors. Oh, it's because I forgot to check the offset pivot button and did not find a material to be used with. Oh, okay, so you definitely can't do that underscore. It was a good try. It was a good try. So what that means we need to do is first let's check out these spheres. Let's copy position, right click and paste, place the new ones. Sorry, I'm gonna try that again. Right click and place. All right, so we got our new spheres, and because we had that material, the metal actually came through this time. Very nice. Super strange that it didn't the first time, but I guess you need to have that material for it to come through as metallic. But look at those. I mean, come on now. You definitely couldn't tell the difference over here, but these ones for sure, like the difference between no metal being applied and metal being applied is so stark. And now we're going to take it one step further, and I'm going to blow your minds. So we need to go back to our file folder, and we'll remember that this BR is the same as the rough, so I'm actually going to delete this one. And we know that the smooth is the new one that we want to use, so we'll just delete it. So unfortunately, you have to do a lot of renaming if you have the same model and you want to try uploading it in different ways, if you want to keep like saved copies of your older version. But anyway, add new, 3D model, and choosing files. I made sure to turn off that preserve offset pivots, metal spheres plus the regular, which is the smooth one now, import. I'm going to delete these old ones while I'm at it, just keeping this thing clean. And what's nice though is it does tell you, like it tends to tell you what's wrong. So we're gonna go ahead and copy the position of, I guess we'll be fine. Right click and place. I'm gonna use the position from before, that should work. Ooh, yeah, that looks good. And paste, and F key, and W key. They're in a weird spot. And like the sliding tools, this new bug recently has been driving me nuts. Right click, unparent child objects. Okay, this one is not as, oh no it is shiny. I was like, it's not as shiny as I was expecting. But look at these. I mean, they are way shinier with that roughness channel being erased. We erased 80% of that alpha channel to make it nice and rough, or smooth rather. So it's no longer rough, so you can see rough metal versus smooth metal. Very, very cool. This coolness does not stop there though, because we recently had Galactic, who has been doing some amazing work for us, built a sky dome in Blender. Don't ask me how she did it. Look it up online. I mean, maybe we can ask her one day. If you leave enough questions asking, we can ask her. But she built this custom star field that is absolutely gorgeous for Slumber Party. Look at that star field. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. Okay, there's that little thing at the top. Not gonna worry about it because everything else, absolutely phenomenal. And if we come and look at our shiny, look at it reflects the skybox. It's actually insane. Let's select one, press F, press zoom in, press Alt and click, and you can see just the stars reflecting off of that. It's weird because I remember yesterday when I did this test, it was just slightly better, but that's still so cool. And if we look at the rough one, can we see that same reflection on the rough? Press F to focus. Oh, it won't let me select it because they're grouped. Unparent child objects. Select F to focus, zoom in, Alt. And here you can see it's just a little less, right? Like, so the reflection's not nearly as intense. And selecting this one, F, zooming in. Oh, I mean, there's a little bit there. And so you can see that without that shade smooth, it does some weird things to it. But yeah, this is pretty marvelous. And these, I don't think, I mean, can you see any reflection on that? F, zoom in, Alt. If you're seeing reflections, I don't see them. Anyway, pretty phenomenal. We'll go ahead and delete that. Come on back here. Let's clean this space up a little bit. We're deleting these parent objects that we had created when we unparented them. And I did want to reselect these 4 and slide them more in line with the other 2. There we go. Very nice. So now we've talked about metal. We've talked about shade smooth and shade flat. We've talked about MEO. We haven't super talked about MEO because there is a way to make it unlit. And I think we should try that on this metal sphere, the one with the edges, because I believe what you'll see with unlit is the edges just disappear. So let's head, not into here, sorry, back into Blender. There we are. Oh my, how long has Blender been scaled up like that? Hopefully it wasn't scaled up like that in my last go at it. My bad if it was. We're gonna go ahead and delete this sphere, and then I don't know if I'm really good at this. Object, set origin to geometry. That didn't work. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not gonna even try. I just want to move this back to 0, 0, 0. So I select here and type 0. There we go. That's better. Okay, so now that we got that recentered. By the way, if you click the period key on your number pad, you can then view it, and then clicking down on the center mouse button, you can look around. It's really nice. Okay, so what we want to do is on the material, we had this set to metal. We're no longer going to use metal. We're just going to call it sphere. And we're going to then create an MEO to go with that metal underscore BR that we created, or the sphere underscore BR we created. So we go back to texture paint. We're going to create a new image. This one will be called sphere underscore MEO. And in Blender, this is really easy to do. We just go to color, go to RGB, and we can change the red, green, and blue values from 0 to 1, where 0 is 0% metal. So we're not going to make this metal. That's fine. But we do want to make it emissive. So we're going to go to 0.5. And then we're going to go to our occlusion, and we're going to leave it at 1 because we don't want it to be occluded. We'll go ahead and click New Image. We're going to then click File, Image, Save As. And now we have a new sphere MEO, and we actually have never had a sphere MEO, so that's great. We can just save this image, and let's go back into Worlds and import this, add new, 3D model, choosing files, sphere MEO, sphere BR, and metal spheres. Oh, I need to export the FBX, that's right. Let's go back to Blender because we renamed it so it's no longer metal. File, export, FBX. And this will just be called sphere, singular. And this is actually the sphere with geometry. So flat, shade flat. Just want to very much specify what it is so it's easier to export FBX. Back in Worlds, choosing files. I think we're still in the choose file dialog. There we are. And there's our sphere shade flat. Press open and import. We'll give that a second. All right, there it is completed. Right click and place. Maybe. Sometimes that happens. You just have to unclick it and then right-click place again. Alrighty. So what you can now see is this being 50% unlit means you... Oh, I guess you can see a little bit of the geometry at the bottom. But it's like, it almost blends away. So like when it's shadowed, you can see it. If we set this to 100%, there will be no shadowing whatsoever. Let's go give that a try really quick. So right here we click Image, New, and we can actually use the same image to save us time. I don't know if this will actually save us time, but we can change the color right here to be 0% metal, 100% occluded, and 100% emission and 100% non-occluded. So weird that they call that occluded. Oh, and I'm on Erase Alpha, Control Z. Switch to Mix, and now we can paint that. Looks like I still had a little bit of alpha disappeared right here. Is that a smudge on my screen? Or is that... I can't tell. Oh yeah, it's not a smudge. Let's just create a new one. Image new. We'll go ahead and call this sphere underscore MEO, and then we'll change these colors to 100%. There we go. And press new image. Then we can go image, save as, and then we had this previous one. I like to keep things around, so let's rename this and then name this MEO. What was this? This was the 50%, so half unlit. There we go. And then this will be our full save as image. Close out of the, oh, don't cancel. We're not going to close out of that just yet, just in case. We'll go ahead and copy the position of this. Copy position, add new, 3D model, choose files, sphere MEO, sphere shaded flat, sphere BR, and open and import. Now this does take a moment. Let's go ahead and fly around a little bit. Yeah, normally I will pause the video during these just to save you guys some time, but this time I thought maybe to go faster. There it goes. Right click and place. Oh, it's not a bad placement location. Oh, let's paste it anyway. Paste and slide over. F key to focus, zoom in, Alt, look around. And as you can see, there is no shading. And you can kind of see the edges on the edge. Like if you come to this shade smooth, can you see that? I guess you can. Even on shade smooth, you can really see those edges. So yeah, I mean, interesting, right? Super interesting. So then the next thing I'm going to show you is that we can select a texture, and I'm curious what will happen. It seems like I should know, but if we click rainbow tiling, which we designed for a sphere, F key, focus, Alt, look around, yeah, that's totally glowing. That's like a glowing sphere. Now it doesn't put off light. You can see a little bit of the colors being reflected from the skybox off of this onto here. Very, very subtle, almost not even there. But it doesn't really put off light. So in the past, you know, years ago, we used to be able to make glowing objects. That's not so much the case anymore. If you wanted to make some colors being shined on here, you'd have to go build gizmos and pull out some static lights. And you could put a static light in here and give it the color you're looking for. So we change that to ellipsoid and then drag that over and up and over. We can then change the color to match that kind of cyan that's on this side. This would be a ton of work. You could do it. Intensity would be set to 1, and then of course this isn't really supposed to, it's an unlit, so it doesn't really accept light. But if we go to something that does accept light, like this one, we should be able to see that reflecting on here. Yeah, it only reflects from certain angles because of the extra metal sheen. But yeah, pretty nice. Or maybe, I guess maybe it does kind of have that from most locations. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So you can imagine duplicating this down, Control D, sliding that down, giving that the hot magenta. Hot magenta, that's a new color. And if we right click preview from here, you can see what that looks like with the colors kind of reflecting off that. Could do a nice blue in the middle or make them closer together so it like naturally creates that color in the middle. It's not bad, it's not bad. So anyway, cool beans. Lots to look at, right? So much. I don't even know where to put this guy. There are so many spheres now. But yeah, there you go. That's unlit. I guess I was going to show one more with this unlit one. Place. If we go to color, we can just change the color of this. Come on, there you go. And so if you wanted to, you could create just like an unlit ball and then change the color using the tint. And interesting that we can actually see some more of that. So you might want to shade smooth this. If you want this to be smooth, you might want to shade smooth it. With the color, it definitely becomes apparent, whereas white, you couldn't really tell. And even with the texture, I don't feel like I can tell. So that's curious, but still, good stuff. All right, delete. Maybe I won't delete it. Maybe I'll just copy the position, set it next to this. Copy position, right click, paste. But that was part of the reason I did use the shade flat, as I just wanted to see what would happen, because we already know that shade smooth is going to make it look good. Okay. Whew, I need to catch my breath. We have been going, guys. For reference, I've got a massive to-do list here, and you won't believe it, but we've only done this one, and this one. That's crazy. That's crazy. They do get slightly easier from this point forward. Oh, we did do this one right here, shade smooth. We did that. They do get slightly easier, but there is so much to cover. What are we at in terms of time? We're at 40 minutes. Man, we were reading the rules for the tutorial for the thing, and it's like, include a short tutorial. Oops, I guess it's not going to be a short one. There's just a lot to cover in this topic. It's a deep topic. We are making a guide to go along with this. We'll make sure to have the link pinned to this video. But yeah, I'm going to pause, grab some water. I'll be right back. All right, we love unlit. Don't we? Don't you? I mean, that was really cool. It looks like it's glowing. You can put lights around it. That was fun. What if there was an easier way to do unlit? Well, there is. Yeah, there really is. It's kind of great. So let's head into Blender. We've got this sphere. We already have it unlit, but we can make it unlit another way by typing _ unlit. It's that simple, is it? It really is. It's that simple. File, export, and let's put it back to shade smooth. I want shade smooth again. Let's switch back to layout view, right click, shade smooth. Nice. All right, file, export, FBX, and we're gonna name this one unlit sphere and export FBX. All right, now we'll head back into worlds, add new, 3D model, preserving offset pivots. I'm kind of curious, if we just upload it as is without a texture, what it looks like. Let's find out. Well, we discovered in the past it didn't work, so at the same time I'm going to upload the one with the texture because it doesn't seem to work without it. So we got the unlit sphere, needs to be uploaded with a sphere BR. My notes say that it actually has to be uploaded with sphere _B. So we're going to right click and copy, excuse me, Control C, Control V, and right click rename, as we might need the BR a little bit later, so just convenient to have both. So here's our sphere B, selecting this and the unlit sphere, pressing open. And so unlit _B means we're only using the base color. There is no roughness channel because it's unlit. There's, I mean, you can't see it, it's unlit. So anyway, we'll go ahead and click import. Let's try bringing out, we're gonna copy the position of this guy, right click, copy position. Did we get anything with this guy? Place. Ooh, that does look unlit. Paste. Slide over. Nice. That looks good. Let's change the color of it. Boom. We can choose whatever color we want. Nice, kind of like lavender right there. F key to focus. Alt left click. Looks good. Looks good. Love it. And let's even try our cyan color out from before. With this one now set to a shade smooth, you can really see how different that looks. Yeah, very cool. We'll put that next to that since they're basically the same. All right, now we got this other unlit sphere. We'll place that and see if there's any differences. They should be the same though. Looks the same. Selecting a color. Looks good. Waiting for that to update. There it goes. Yeah, I mean, that looks great. Nice. Soft, super soft pink. Super soft pink. Nice. F key focus. Zoom in. Looks good. I think that basically you don't even need to upload an image if you're not going to use color. Like, you can just upload it as is. Brilliant. Love that. Okay, that's one of those checklist items done. Our next one is unlit blend. Now this is where things get exciting. So unlit blend allows you to use transparency. So we're going to change this from sphere unlit to _blend. Now what the blend is going to do is it's going to use the alpha channel as an alpha channel. So let's go to our texture paint and let's create a texture for this. And we're going to say, I guess we can just use this one. That would make it cyan. Nope. Let's create a new color. New, just for fun. I want to choose another fun color. Dartboard says, ooh, that's kind of a fun, kind of almost minty, almost not green right there. Okay. Love it. Now the name of this needs to be sphere _BA. And so B stands for base color and A stands for alpha or transparency. So we're going to use the alpha channel of this. And then we can press on the color, just kind of for a quick test. If we change that alpha to 0.5, we can make it 50% transparent, which could be really cool. Go ahead and press new image. We're then going to say image save as, storing it in here as sphere _BA, save as image. Then we'll go to our worlds, add new, 3D model, selecting choose file and device, sphere BA and unlit. Nope, we need to export from Blender, of course. File, export, FBX, and this is our unlit blend sphere. And now that that is exported, we can go into World, select Asset, select Unlit Blend Sphere and Sphere BA, press Open and Import. We'll give that a second. I'm going to copy the position of this one while we're at it. Copy position. And what this will do is be slightly transparent, which should look really cool. It won't be perfect, but it'll look kind of cool. Go ahead and place. And oh, that does look really cool, doesn't it? Paste and slide. In fact, this makes me want to show you some cool tricks, but wow, is that cool or what? I like that a lot. Oh my gosh, I like that a lot. It's so weird. When you go inside of it, you can't see. We have a video on inverting geometry. That'll be coming. I plan to make that tutorial in the next day or two. It's not just on inverting geometry, it's on a whole bunch of other stuff, but yeah, this is really cool. That is so neat. Oh man, I really like that a lot. If we change the tint color is multiplied with that starting color. I thought, maybe not. It does seem to do the tinting just right. Yeah, I guess it's fine. Cool. Do we get a nice red if we try red? Yeah, we do. Very cool. And we can change that to 0. You can change it to 0.5 if you want to blend them together. That's atrocious. There we go. And brightness, what do we do? 0.5, does that do anything? Oh, it does. Nice. Anyway, there's some fun stuff you can do. Ooh, 0. Nice. I just love this. I love this transparency, but it doesn't stop there. We were just playing around. I haven't even got to the thing I want to show you, which is if you have something, it's hard to see with this texture, but let's switch to black and white view. Alpha, there you go. So you can see these lines. Those lines represent the mapping of the texture. And so they are going to represent the top here, and here's the bottom. We're going to switch back to color and alpha. And what I'm going to do is switch my tool to erase alpha. I'm going to change my radius down to be really small, even smaller. Right there, perfect. And then I'm going to try to erase right in this line. So I'm going to zoom this in just a little bit. And we're just going to erase a line or two. So there's one, and then we'll try to smooth that out in the end. Ooh, apparently I didn't. Ooh, Control Z. Let's try that again. Let's actually go to strength 100%, and I really wish there was an easier way to do this. Like if I was in my other tools, like if we were out on Photopea, this would be a lot easier. Nice. Okay, one's done. Next up, we're gonna skip 2. Nice enough. And then we're gonna skip 2. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. It's going to do the trick. So now we'll go click Image, Save As. Now this would erase our previous one, so we want to go to our previous BA, right-click and rename this one. And this BA I'm going to rename as _even transparency. And then this one is just our new sphere, save as image. Brilliant. All right, black back into worlds. Add new 3D model. And choose files, sphere BA, unlit sphere, open, import. Okay, I have to catch myself here because I'm kind of getting carried away and there's a lot of art happening and art's fun, but it's also not relevant to most of you. I want to show you a relevant example and why this applies. This is like math class where you teach you a bunch of stuff, but if you don't actually practice it, you don't actually learn anything. And so what I'm showing you is like the technical specs and why the technical specs work, but I'm missing something very key. And so I'm catching myself. What I need to show you at this time is how this can be used to create really cool plants, grasses, cool stuff like that. So we'll come back to that in just a moment. All right, now that we've got this done, right click and place, and you can now see that this sphere has slices cut out of it. And so you can imagine what we're about to show you next, which is plants that are masked images. And I guess I wouldn't use that. We have a masking coming up soon. Let me see if I can think of a good example for this. I'm gonna just pause the video, I think. All right, I've got it. We're gonna use a logo. Bringing in a logo is a great example of something that you'd want to be unlit and also use the transparency layer in the background. And so we're going to head into Blender. We're going to File, New, General. We're not going to save anything in here. We're going to delete everything, selecting right-click, Delete Hierarchy. We're then going to add a mesh plane. So we've got a just plane that we can put this picture on. We're then going to name it. So we go to Material, New Material, named logo_blend. And now that we have that named, we can then click File, Export, FBX, save that into our importing or steps tool up folder. And then we'll go ahead and name this the logo plane. Logo plane. There we we are. And export FBX, very nice. Now with that done, we can go into here and upload these two. So we'll go add new, 3D model. The problem is I forgot to rename it, so we'll rename it while we're at it. So right here, the image, right click, rename. You'll remember it needs to be logo underscore BA. And remembering all of these naming conventions is hard. So while this is uploading, I'm going to show you where I go to get this information. So number one, the tutorial we're building right now is a great one. Like this, if you're reading that tutorial, it should have the guide in it. But we're basing that guide off the original that I made last year down here on the. So if you look up importing images and adding texture animation, there is this image importing cheat sheet. And this is where what I've been going to for literally since I made this. Like I made this, researched it all. There are a few missing that we're going to cover today, so we're going to get to those soon. But so if you're looking at the most up-to-date Learn thing, I don't know if it'll be on the Learn website, but it'll be somewhere. And I'll have a link to it in the description so you can find it, the new cheat sheet. Okay. In fact, I actually have a mock-up that I made. Give me 1 second to find it. It should be downloads. No, it's in pictures, screenshots, scrolling. There it is. I made this mock-up with ChatGPT just as an idea. It's not perfect. It's just kind of like a reference. But yeah, feel free to screenshot that. I want to make a better one. So ideally look at the link in the description and grab that version. But here's a version in case you don't have access to the one I'm working on. So we've gone through textured model, which is the BR. So we've done BR uploading. We've done with metal, so underscore metal in Blender. So this is the name that you give it in Blender. We've got the MEO, where you upload it with a BR and an MEO. And I've mentioned here, this is a note that ChatGPT miswrote. It's supposed to say occlusion should be set to 100%. Otherwise, it'll be shaded, like occluded, basically. Unlit model, so we've learned unlit. So you upload it with, your material name is named underscore unlit, or we're working on underscore blend. And then the material that you're uploading with is underscore B or underscore BA. So you can kind of see, like this is the name of the file, this is the name of the material in Blender. We're going to be getting to transparent and masked soon, and so many more. So as you can see, nice little cheat sheet. Still work in progress though, so bear with that. Okay. We have our logo plane ready to go. We'll put this in a different area. This is from last year's Got a Lot of Lava tutorial. Pretty fun. And there it is. Let's press F key to focus, Alt left click to look at that. And as you can see, that's brilliant, beautiful. So good, so good. Now you do need to note it's invisible from one side. You could make this double-sided. It is good enough for me though. That is fun. If you want to know how to make this double-sided, we have a video on fixing palm trees that teaches how to make things double-sided that are single-sided. So feel free to check out that tutorial. And again, I am working on a comprehensive Blender tutorial with all those tips and tricks, so that should be coming up soon. Today's tutorial is just on image importing, and as you can tell, it's already a biggie. So I'm just gonna quickly move this over here, and I'll show you another quick trick you can do with these, which is pretty nice. If we set this to 180, get it upright, switch to the other side. Oh, not what I intended. Set this to 0. There we go. What you can do, which is really interesting, is if you right-click and create a parent object, on the parent object, you can set it to billboard lock Y, and then it does need to be set to animated for this to work. And so now that's animated, you can now go anywhere and it'll always face you, which is super duper cool, especially for something like this where it's one-sided. So very, very neat. Good trick. Okay. Whew. Let's I don't know, let's figure out where we're at. So we've just covered unlit. We've just covered unlit blend. You've seen that there are definitely some practical uses for this, and as you're going through models that you're buying or anything you're finding, you're gonna find that you need these in certain cases. Oh, that's what I was gonna show you, was plants. Plants, we typically use masks. So unlit means it glows, or it looks like it's glowing. So let's go to mask before we go to transparency, because masking is where you cookie cutter out something. And a logo could have been cookie cutter, but the logo is nice to be unlit because it glows. It looks like it's on. It's not being shadowed by the world. But with plants, you do want them to be shadowed. And we have some really beautiful palm trees that you might have seen in a past video. So let's go ahead and pull those out. I have them in a folder. So let's go find that. That should be under downloads. It's a part of our slumber party, and it is a part of the, let's see, I might pause while I look for this. Found them. All right, so we got those here ready to go. They should be ready to import. So the same thing as we did before. Wait a second. Wait a second. These aren't masked. Hold up. Be right back. All right, so for the sake of argument, here is one that is definitely masked. So you can see that we have these here. They're on a transparency. And so they're basically, they just need to be cookie cuttered out. And we have the tropical leaves. Let's bring this into Blender so we can at least get some understanding of how this works. So stretching that back out. We're going to create a new general, don't save anything, delete everything, you know, the usual few-step process. File, import, and we're going to go to FBX, heading to our comprehensive folder, grabbing the tropical leaves, pressing import. So here's what these leaves look like. And in Blender, if we want to preview them, we can hit our preview button. We can go down to material, selecting them, selecting material. You can see that this is actually already named foliage underscore masked. And so that's the naming for masking, is just underscore masked. And then right here, we need to link it up to the correct texture. So we'll select foliage underscore BA. So you can already see that underscore BA stands for base color and alpha. So we're uploading it and using the alpha channel to cookie cutter it out. We'll press open image. And here in Blender, it doesn't actually remove the alpha channel for whatever reason, but you can see that this is what the actual 3D model looks like, but in Horizon, you'll only see the green. So now that we can see that here, let's go ahead and upload this. Let's go to Worlds, Add New, 3D Model, choose Files on Device. We're selecting Tropical Leaves and Foliage BA. And you'll also notice as we're talking about this while it uploads, that the foliage has a bunch of different other types of plants. You got some grasses, some vines, all sorts of things. And so this is very nice to have them all stored on one. It's nice to have less textures. Having less textures reduces draw calls. The number of draw calls increases the more textures and the more 3D models you have. So that's something I'd be very careful of. But that's really kind of a topic for another day, I guess. I don't know, it's a tough one because the numbers aren't really set in stone. I did recently find a document that I felt like was really good. I don't know if I can find it again. I sent it to Galactic on Discord. If I go off screen for just a second, I can get the link, just in case there's something private I don't want to accidentally share. Just in case. That Leaves is taking a long time to upload, probably in part because it is, I need to close Discord. Mark on red. Mark on red. Close Discord. That one time I made a video where I left Discord open, I'm so sorry. That was such a big mistake. So on here, if you go down to world budgets, there are some recommendations. I don't agree with these, which is why I don't really want to talk about it because I feel bad like disagreeing, but they're suggesting 600,000 verts. I don't think that's true. I do agree with 1 million verts for a completely static world with no animation, but I really think you need to be targeting like 400,000 or less verts for your total world. And also you need to note that when you bring in a model, it appears, we're still investigating this, but it appears that Horizon is doubling the verts when you bring a model in. So if we have a model with 230,000 verts in Blender, and we brought it in, it was at over 400, and we were like, oh snap, we need to reduce. So we're working on reducing that. But point is, I don't think you should go over 400,000, so be careful. Draw calls, they're recommending 150. I think this is too low, and the maximum for a static world of 250 is kind of crazy. For a static world, I think you can probably get away with closer to 500, especially if you lower your verts below 1 million. And then draw calls on an animated world, I think you can get away with about 250. I think we're going to try to stay under 300. It's very difficult because if you want to have a bunch of interactive elements, each of those elements counts as a draw call. And then every texture that's applied to those elements counts as a draw call. You can see it adds up really quick. Then they've got world travel time recommendations. So if you want it to download fast, then keep your vertices under 400,000. Oh, this is where they're saying unique vertices. Here they're real. Okay, yeah, this is definitely real. Total vertices is definitely being doubled up from your actual vertices. And so their unique vertices are saying keep it under 200 or 400. So these are more in line with the numbers that I'm saying, but I'm thinking even your total vertices should be this low. Kind of curious. We still need to do some more testing. The texture megapixels, this is equivalent to 2.5 4K images. So 2.5 4K images. Now you can take, they're even showing you here, a 2K is 4 megapixels, a 1K is 1 megapixel, which means you can have 40 1Ks compared to just 2.5 4Ks, or you can have 10 2Ks in comparison to just 2.5 4Ks. They do say 80 for something that's more static. It does take a lot longer to download, so depending on people's internet, it could take a lot longer to travel. What do we got here? Some generic recommendations. 5 meters, 3 objects. I'm not sure what this is. Polygons 2000. This must be like the maximum for a singular model based off this type of size. So basically just keeping all your models under 1,000 verts is kind of the idea, and keeping your textures small. Yep. There we go. So here's some information about the formats they accept. There's a mention here about only using channel 0 for UVs. I guess there's a way to use multiple UV channels in Blender, but Horizon doesn't support it. Vertex normals being imported, I think, is just automatic based off the geometry. Not really sure. But anyway, that's it, guys. That's the page. Very useful information there. Okay. Where did we leave off? We were bringing in the tropical leaves. Right-click and place, and we can now see that the masking has done its trick. And what's even more impressive is that these do get shaded. Now, we can see these are only one-sided, and so that's where that double-sided tutorial. Now, if they're close to the ground, it's not a big deal. I'll look at that texture loaded in, and it's way better. Yeah, it's way better with the texture loaded in. And if you scale it, clicking R key on keyboard, we can scale. And now that looks even better. So you're not it's If you plan to let people get small in your world, you definitely need to make it visible from both sides, which I suppose I can quickly show you. I'm like a little nervous about doing this, but it's a really simple trick. So what you do is down here, you want to turn on backface culling right here. Boom. Now you can see what it actually looks like in Horizon. And then what you can do is switch into edit mode, and then we want to double the verts. So you press Shift D, that's going to make a copy. Then you right click to snap it back to where it came from. And then you click mesh. Is it flip? Or is it right click? I can't remember where it is. I literally go back and rewatch my own videos. It should be something like flip verts. So let's see. Mesh normals, flip normals. There it is. All right. So we flip the normals to be the opposite of what they were, and we're done. That's it. So simple. Let go, switch back to object mode. You might want to merge these. I feel like they're already merged. We'll just click A and do it just in case. Mesh, merge by distance. It says it removed 129 verts. Did it delete anything? It did delete stuff, didn't it? Change the distance to be even smaller. I had this issue last time. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. There we go. Now it's all brought back. Okay. Looks good now. All right, so with that done, we can then go back to object mode. So if you don't merge them, it sometimes counts as a secondary draw call in Horizon, which is why I was worried about it. And there we go. File, export, FBX to our folder. This is tropical leaves, double-sided, and export FBX. Going into worlds, add new, 3D model, selecting double-sided plus the tropical leaf foliage BA, open, import, give that a second, any second now. I have gone and copied the position, pressing W to switch back to the slide tool. Right click, copy position. Yeah, these leaves took surprisingly long last time too. I think it's a super high resolution image, so I actually should lower the resolution of that. Definitely something you gotta watch out for when you download these textures. This one is 2.68 megabytes, so yeah, it's really huge. The easiest way to resize this is just to press open, and that's why it took so long for it to become crystal clear, is because it was just too big of an image. We can go to resize image. Oh my gosh, it's a 5K? Horizon doesn't even support 5K. Why did it even let me bring that in? I'm going to change it to 1024. Like, that's kind of the max I would go to. It's going to keep a ton of the details, so like, don't even worry about that. Press save, and then save that in here as foliage BA into the correct folder, downloads, comprehensive, right click, rename, call this one underscore 5K, yikes, and then save this one. There we are. All right, so that should be really good. If we hover over, where'd it go? There it is. We can see that it's down to 525 kilobytes, so it's going to load a lot faster. If we click on it, you can see like it doesn't even look different. It looks the same. So let's go ahead and upload that one too. Add new 3D model, serving, choosing foliage BA plus the new tropical leaves double-sided. Press open and import. And let's go ahead and bring in those supermassive tropical leaves. Now, is there a place where you might want to use the largest texture size available? Absolutely. Look how long this is going to take to load in though. See how it's smooth? Like, you're just ruining the user experience by using large images because the time to load is just so much longer. But say you were building a world that existed on this leaf. Like, the leaf was the scale. Like, okay, right? I mean, what are you even doing? Like, this doesn't even look that good. But let's go scale it up to 111, whatever the heck that is. F to focus. And let's imagine you can actually go down on this preview from here. Even this doesn't actually look that good, but I mean, this is the one instance where I'd say, okay, use the whole thing. And so, first of all, let's copy the position of this. Let's get our new one in. It loaded way faster. Place. And look at that. Almost instantly the texture is there. Like, so much better. And zooming in, it looks pretty much the same. Like, you really can't tell the difference, especially at a regular scale. When you're in VR, you'll notice it a little bit more, but that plant's too big in my opinion. I would definitely be scaling that down just a hair, down to like that. And at that point, you really won't tell the difference. This is like if you have a 4K TV, if you went to 8K, you absolutely would not notice the difference because our eyes just can't see the difference. Like, there's a point where it doesn't matter. And this to me is that point. So if we look at this one and then we look at this one right next to it, that's the 5K. I mean, you might be able to argue that there's slightly more detail, but I can't tell. Like, it's so close. Now, if you scale it up though, scale it to 111, and then press F to focus, and then turn off the other one, which was already pretty blurry, but we'll just turn it off, turn off collidable, turn off all that. Now right click and preview. This is where, I don't know if this is even that bad. Like, compared to the other one, it might be basically the same. This is hard. This is a hard one. I don't even know. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete those. We'll bring another copy of this out just to be done with it. But yeah, there we go. Let's delete this one because it's actually so bad for performance. Like, I don't want to make this world hard to load into. Cool. Cool. Now, we did have another one that you might be interested in looking at. File, import, and we're going to import the FBX for the palm tree, palm 1. We have a whole video on this palm tree, so like, feel free to go check that out. If we turn on backface culling, it should disappear because I assume this is one of the originals. So backface culling, turn it on. Oh no, this is one of the ones we fixed. Nice. Pressing period to center, and then mouse center click on the mouse wheel to look around. Gorgeous. But you can see that this one is actually using the entire texture. It's not a cookie cutter, so there's no black on it, which is why I was like, oh, right, this was not the right one. But yeah, so pretty tree, but did not actually show masking. Okay. So in that case, you can, if you look at this, just import it as a BR. Just a normal underscore BR. You could even import it without the texture and apply the texture in Horizon. Seriously, so simple. So, sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not. Oh my gosh, we've got a lot. I was really hoping to have this all covered in 1 hour, but I think we honestly have another hour left. You can look at the time code. I cannot. So I'm going to dinner, like right now. Time for me to go. I'm going to have to stop the video there, splice them together later. We have some good... Oh, really important thing for me to note about masking. Masking does dithering. Masking does dithering. how did I forget to talk about this? So if we come over here to my example and we scroll down, I have an example of dithering in this document right here. This is what it looks like. So this normally is like 0% opacity, like almost no, like completely transparent, right? And then it gets to a completely opaque over here, so it's completely solid. And then it's a gradient, but because it's a gradient, when you bring it in, masking doesn't support transparency, and so it does every other pixel. I don't know if I can zoom this in any bigger. Open image, a new tab. Can I zoom in this? I don't know how to zoom in on Windows. Oh, Control plus. There it is. And so you can see that it's just turning pixels off and on to represent transparency. And so it's just faking transparency. And you gotta be careful with that with masking. So be warned, you've been warned. Masking doesn't support transparency. It's really for cookie cutter shapes. And we're gonna be talking about masking a little bit more because up next, we're gonna be looking at, well, we could look at UIO. We could look at UIO like really quick. UIO is masking. It's the same thing, but it's got a different name. So you upload it with an _BA, just like we just did. But in Blender, it's named _UIO, which stands for User Interface Optimized, which means it has higher MIP mapping, so you can see more detail. It's designed to be just like an engaging place where people are looking at it. They do take a little bit more toll on the engine, so don't want to use too many of these. Only use them in places where you really need it. And but it's masked, so if you try to use transparency on it, you'll get dithering. So that's something we might talk about some more coming up. We've talked about stats. Let me see, I got a whole note here on stats. We talked about stats. We talked about the doubling of verts when you bring stuff in. We talked about 1 million for art worlds, sub 400,000 for game worlds, target 250,000. We talked about draw calls, trying to keep them under 250,000, and that includes textures and objects in the world. We talked about texture size, keeping it under 40 megabytes, and making sure you're using really small textures so that the world loads faster. It also improves the GPU because the GPU has to store all these textures, and like using fewer textures, like you saw that one plant texture has all these different plants on it. That's brilliant. It saves a lot of it saves draw calls, so each of those plants would have been a draw call, so that's like 12 different draw calls saved down to one. Pretty nice. We'll be talking about it a little bit later, but there's a feature called trim sheets, and this is more in the art world when we get to this topic, but trim sheets is similar to that, but it's like just different textures, and then you can apply the textures and then paint the vertex's colors. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So we talked about texture sizes, and I'm making a Blender video that's going to teach a ton of Blender basics, kind of like that one you just saw where we doubled the verts, and so many more things that'll help when you're bringing stuff in. So I encourage you to check that out when it releases, probably within the next few days. So without further ado, we only have a little bit left. Oh man, I really want to go. I mean, maybe I can just race through this. Maybe we can be done in 10 minutes and I can go to dinner still and not upset anyone that's waiting. Okay, let's give it a go. We're gonna go fast. We're gonna go hyperspeed. So I just mentioned UIO. Let's see UIO in action. It doesn't actually change anything. It's basically the same. So Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Here's our plant. Changing it from masked, we can just name it _UIO. There we go. And now we go File, Export, FBX, and we're gonna name this Tropical Leaves Double-Sided UIO, and Export FBX. Heading into Worlds, add new 3D model, no preserving pivots, selecting UIO plus the foliage BA, and that's all UIO is. It's that simple. It's the same thing. It just increases the MIP mapping, so when you're looking at it, you get a higher resolution image. Honestly, the MIP mapping in Horizon as of today is pretty bad. It's something they definitely need to work on, especially in VR. I guess it's not so bad if you're just considering it from the... I'm going to place this one right next to it so we can see them side by side. It's not so bad if you're on mobile, because that's where I believe they spend most of their time at Meta, is just on the mobile version of Horizon. But interesting, the color looks even a little bit different on that UIO. I'd almost say it's unlit, perhaps. I have a hard time seeing the difference in texture. Like, to me, they look about the same, at least here on desktop. But yeah, a little bit of color difference. We might be seeing perhaps unlit. Let's try shading it. Can we shade this? That should shade pretty quickly because of the thing above it. We can take this one, Control D, slide it over, Control D, slide it down, and you can already see shadows applying on the ground below it. Let's see, let go. Not really sure if I'm seeing the shadows. Maybe like right there. No, those are definitely shaded with paint. Like they're already shaded. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. That one's interesting. I wasn't expecting the UIO to be kind of like more richer with color, which could be unlit. I'm not really sure. Okay. Next up on our topic is transparency. Now, transparency is one of the harder ones, and that's because you are familiar with MEO. Well, you're going to upload your transparent image with BR just like usual, so you get your base color and roughness, but it's uploaded with MESA. And MESA stands for Metallic Emission Specular and Alpha, where the alpha channel is your alpha. Now you might remember at the very beginning we were talking about the roughness channel and how it needs to go into the alpha channel. Well, the same thing needs to go here, but in reverse. You need to take your image, which probably has an alpha channel, and then apply it to your MESA file. Mind-boggling, very difficult. I've never been able to pull it off. Actually, that's not true. I did do it one time. I don't remember how. Might even have a tutorial on it that I need to go revisit. But this is one of those things where I'm like, we've been making some tools with ChatGPT recently, and so they've worked out surprisingly well. One of them we released, you might have seen that video where it allows you to make skyboxes. And I'm like, maybe we could build a ChatGPT tool that builds this. You just upload the textures that you get when you download like 3D models from the internet. And it builds the MESA file for you, maybe. But for now, we haven't done that. That doesn't exist yet. It's just an idea. Feel free to take that idea on and let us know. We have a Vidyuu Discord, link in the description. Would love to hear about it if you do end up making that. But let's see. The problem is it took me like an entire full day to make that thing that you guys got as a like 1 minute quick trick. It took so much work. So it's just like, I just don't have the time. Otherwise I'd tackle it. Because the problem is ChatGPT is really, really dumb. It's like you're working with a first grader, but they know a lot, but they also don't know anything. So it's tough. It's cool though. It's really cool. For general reference, for anybody who wants to try building anything with like a ChatGPT or AI, my recommendation is to spend 5 minutes with it and then leave it behind and take it from there. And if you can't take it from there, then just give up. Because pretty much after those first 5 minutes, ChatGPT will take you downhill. It'll never really improve. It'll just make things worse. That's been my experience at least. So anyway, for what it's worth. Okay. Let's see. Next up, we're talking about MESA. So let me show you a good example of when to use MESA. That is what we should do. Here we are in Blender. We're going to create a new general, don't save. We're going to delete the camera. We're going to delete the light, and we're going to keep the cube. I'm going to show you some cool features real quick. So lighting in Horizon sometimes requires a feature that we haven't actually talked about. I was planning to talk about it in the other video, but like we can quickly mention it here. To make better lighting, if we go to wireframe view, this isn't even wireframe, that's crazy. If we go to the wrench icon, we can add modifier, generate a triangulate. And when we triangulate this, this is what it's going to look like when you bring it into Horizon. It's going to have 2 triangles on each side. Horizon allows you to import quads or tris, but nothing higher than that, no ingons. And so this triangulation is not deep enough to give you good coloring or good lighting on this cube. So what you might want to do, after we hit apply, now that we've made it triangles, is add a modifier called subdivide. I might need to search for the modifier, search for subdivide. Wait, that's not how you do it, is it? It's right click. It must be in edit mode. Switch to edit mode, select all, right click, and there it is, subdivide. And this doubles it up. So you can see that we've now got double the verts everywhere. It's fantastic. We go back to preview mode, and it's a little bit easier to see. There is nothing inside, I promise. So anyway, now that it's subdivided, there's a feature we can do. So we're just kind of going a little bit crazy here because I'm just having a fun time. We can take this vertex point, select the sliding tool, sliding it up. That's kind of neat. Not exactly what I intended, but kind of neat. And we can basically make it into a diamond shape. So we'll select this one, slide this down. And then what I'm thinking we'll do, we're just getting way into 3D modeling all of a sudden, but imagine you have a model that you want to do what we're going to do to after this. Right click, and we're going to dissolve these verts, and this is going to make it into that diamond shape I'm looking for. So I'm selecting the verts using shift, and then right click, dissolve verts, and then we'll just come over here. I've learned a few tricks over this past summer, working really hard in Horizon, so you know, some cool tricks. Dissolve verts again, and one last one. And right click, dissolve verts. Okay, now we've got our little crystal shape. It's not perfect. What we need to do is once again switch back to object mode and add modifier, triangulate this one more time, and triangulate. That brings it back to the correct shape. Very nice. And then go ahead and hit apply. We can go back to the mesh view to see that mesh. You might want to subdivide that again depending on what you're doing, but for small crystals like this, totally fine. And what we want to do is make it transparent. And you could right-click shade smooth this if that's the shape you're looking for. I would like mine shade flat so it looks more like a cut diamond or a cut gem. And what we're going to do is go to material. And this is where, if you have a shape that you've already designed and you didn't need to do the 3D modeling I just did there, it's just fun, guys. It's just fun. I love it. You don't have to love it, but I do. We're now going to make this transparent by typing in gem_transparent. There we are. Make sure to spell that correct. Transparent. Perfect. Now we're going to click texture paint, and we're going to create a new texture. We're going to give it a cool color. So this is the color first. So we're going to start with a cool blue color, liking that shade right there. Click new image, image, save as, save this into our folder as gem_br. And so this could be any texture. You could add some really cool detail to it. Doesn't have to be just plain color. We can then notice that the UVs are pretty gross, but we're just gonna ignore that. The UVs got really gross. Maybe I will show you. There's some really cool ways to UV. Select all, and then UV, Smart UV project. Press unwrap. That's gonna unwrap it nicely. Now you get this nice UV wrap. And if we go back to texture paint, you can see that those textures line up nicely. So if you wanted to do any sort of like art on this, you could. It's not perfect, as you can see. That's a little bit disjointed there, but it's close enough for this project. Okay. And then the next thing we want to do is we've saved this image. We now want to go to image, new, and we need to create the gem_MESA. And this is where we go to the RGBA value. So RGB, we can make it 100% metallic, so it's really shiny. We can go to our green and make it, we don't want it to be emissive. I guess a little bit emissive might not be bad, like 0.25 could look good. And then we want to go to our specular. Specular is basically just occlusion, so we want to keep that at 1, so it's not occluded at all. And then alpha, this is where we get to make it transparent. We can set that to 0.7, so it's mostly solid, but also mostly transparent. It just looks good at 0.7, I think. I'm not sure. We'll go ahead and click new image, image, save as. And now we can name this gem MESA. Go ahead and click save as image. Now I'm going to switch back up here to our gem, this one here, and we're going to change the color. In fact, I'm going to redo this one over again. Click new. This is hard. Cancel. What I really want to do is I want to erase the alpha because I felt like I wanted it to be partially shiny, like more shiny. I just wanted this to be a lot more shiny, so I'm just going to erase a lot of this alpha so that it's way shinier when we bring it into Horizon. Now click image, save as, save this as gem_br, because that roughness channel still exists here, so we'll click save as image. Nice. And we are now ready to export this. So click file, export, FBX, saving that into here as gem, GEM, and export FBX. Heading back into worlds, we can now add new 3D model, no preserving pivots, choose file, gem, and the texture files, import. While that's importing, I wanted to show you in Blender that you can preview this by going to layout, and we can go to here to select the texture. So we click image texture, open the image texture. Now, of course, this isn't required, which is why I imported it first to show you. You don't need to do this, but if you want to preview this in your scene, here's the with the color. We can then go down to our roughness sliders at 0.5. We set roughness to, I think it was like 0.2, so a little shinier than that. And then alpha, we had set to 0.7. There we go. And for whatever reason, recently my alpha's been dithering. I don't know why. I need to figure that out. And I think that's it. So that basically shows you. I mean, we did have metallic up, right? It's not going to look like that in Horizon. Only in Blender does metal look like that. But it looks more like that. So it should look pretty cool. The transparency will look a lot better. And it's also one-sided, so we'd want to make sure to turn on backface culling so it looks like that. We could duplicate the inside like you saw me do with the plant earlier to make it so you can see the inside of it, which I would recommend. Let's go ahead and take a look at worlds. Right-click and place. And this gem should look pretty neat. Not bad, not bad. It's not perfect. It's not bad though. You definitely get some shiny spots. I think seeing the other side would help. I feel like the roughness really messed it up. This is kind of weird. I've not really used roughness a whole lot, so let's go ahead and make a couple quick changes in Blender. Just real quick changes to have some fun here. So the first thing we're going to do, switch to edit mode, click A to select all the verts, then press Shift D to duplicate, right click to snap them back to the center, and then press mesh, normals, I guess it's right click, there it is, right click, normals? Why am I having so much trouble finding the flip normals button? Face? No, mesh? There it was there the whole time, normals and flip, there we go. All right, so now that we're done with that, we can select all, ooh, cancel. Select all, and then go to mesh. So I pressed A, and then merge by distance. That merged 0 verts, which I think is good. Switch back to object mode. We can now see the inside of that like we could before, so that looks really cool. And the next thing I want to do is make it brighter, which I think is because of the roughness slider, which I don't understand. So strange. Let's go back to texture paint. And I want this texture, so we're just going to make it again. Image, new, and we're going to select color, select up here, nice and bright. And we're going to keep the alpha at 100%, so we're not going to add any roughness. And press new image, and then image, save as. This time I will replace it because I just did not like it at all. So save as image. And then the MESA file felt like it could be slightly brighter. Let's try a new MESA file. Image, new, and under RGB, we want it to be 100% metallic, but the metallic causes some of the issues. Let's go to emission and change emission to 0.5, so it's highly emissive, and then 1, and then alpha, let's go to 0.8, so a much higher alpha, or just a little bit higher alpha. New image, image, save as, our gem MESA, save as image. All right, and we don't need to export, oh, we do need to export the FBX, so we changed it a little bit. File, export, FBX, and then we'll call this gem double-sided, export FBX. And coming back to worlds, add new, 3D model, choose file, gem double-sided, upload, open, import. Okay. I am out of time. Let's be real. This has been great, but that's transparency. There's a lot you can do with it. It's fun. There's places where you'll need it. Sometimes you want to make like a transparent user interface. Whatever it is you want to do, there's lots there. The last things are all about vertex painting, which is something I didn't want to dive too deeply in because it's mostly for artists. We're going to be doing 3D modeling in Blender, but it might be something you're interested in, or at least you want to know how it works. It's not that crazy. So I'm kind of hoping I can cover it in like one quick pass. And because we've learned so much foundation, hopefully the rest of this will be like, oh yeah, I get that. Oh yeah, I get that. And you just need to try it out on your own. So right click and place our new gem. Please be a better gem. Please be a better gem. W. Slide this over. It's a lot more solid. You can't even see really through it. It's quite interesting being double-sided. The color definitely pops a little bit more, so that's interesting. I don't know. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm almost thinking I don't know. I think more transparency would help. That's really curious. Like, play with that. It's fun. Like, I like the look in Blender. How do I get that look in Horizon? Well, you can't exactly, but Anyway, have fun with it. There are definitely some limitations. We did 100% metal. We could have done 100% smoothness to make it more reflective, but I don't know. I don't think that was going to do the trick. It might have just needed to be a brighter blue. Like the metal, you know, metal makes things dark. So like maybe it needed to be a much lighter blue perhaps. Yeah, some playing with it for sure. You'll learn as you go. Okay, blender, blender, blender. Next up, let's imagine we didn't have any textures on this gem. That is possible. So let's take our material and get rid of it. Let's just get rid of this current material. New material. This one is going to be named VXC. So we'll call this gem underscore VXC. And what gem underscore VXC tells Horizon is that it wants to use the vertex painting. So if we go up to object mode, go to vertex paint, we can select a color. We'll select our color up here. And we can now paint the vertices of this. I'm on mix. Oh, I need to preview it. Right, so to preview it in Blender, I'm like, I'm painting this. To preview it in Blender, what you have to do is go down to here where it says base color and select color attribute. And now you can see that it is actually applying. And we can switch to the other side and paint that side. And if you wanted to, you could make this multicolored. So we could select maybe like a slightly darker blue for the base. Right down here, maybe it's actually really subtle. Let's go a little bit more. There we go. And so you kind of get that nice little transition happening. And that's pretty cool. So let's bring that into Horizon. Click File, Export, FBX. And there's no materials, no textures. It's just like this. So you call that gem vertex painted. Export FBX. And then we go to Worlds, Add New, 3D Model, choose File, gem vertex painted, Open, Import. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I think we actually might finish this video in one go. Let's go. I so needed that. I am going to be having a great time at dinner knowing that this is done. But look at this. That's pretty cool. And obviously you don't have all the special effects that you get with all the textures that you can upload, but that's impressive. Like, I was blown away with how easy that was. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So now that you've seen that, let's take it up a notch. So the next step after that is to try using a _BR to add a texture to it. So if I go to my folders, I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, I found this like grid that we're going to use. And so if we name this and rename, call this gem _BR. No, there's already Finalizing location. Do you want to rename? Yes. Okay, so this is now 2. We need to name this one, which we'll just call blue. Now I can rename the number 2 on this. There we go. Okay, so we got our new gem BR, and this will mix with the vertex painting. So you can take a black and white texture like this and mix it with the color. And what we need to do in Blender is double check that the name is _VXM. So this one was vertex color, and this one is vertex material. And so VXM is going to need that texture uploaded with it. So we'll click File, Export, FBX, and we can then name this gem vertex painted for material. There we go. And export FBX, back into Worlds, and then add new 3D model, choose File, vertex material, and our gem BR that we just made, which is down here near the bottom, so question mark? Where is, oh, it wasn't, it was a, oh, here it is. Okay, and open, and import. There we go, give that a second. I'm very excited about this. I guess I did do this last night when I was doing all my testing, but I don't remember doing it, so I'm just like very, ooh, that's cool. That's cool. That's really cool. You know what Will Smith would say? Now that's hot. That's hot. Something like that. I just watched a movie where he said that, and I was like, no way. I didn't know he said that in movies. It was just like so funny. But yeah, you know, that one UV was misaligned, so this side doesn't look right. It would be pretty easy to fix that. Don't tempt me with a good time, y'all. So we go to UV editing. You can see that this one is off. If we selected that, probably just by doing this, and then zooming in, and then shift click, shift click, shift click. You can then press the slide tool, slide that up, and then there you go, and then save it. Just export it like that. Now it lines up nicely. Sweet. Honestly, like, there are lots of ways to do the UVs though. So if we go to UV, you could do a cylinder projection. Ooh, don't do that. UV cube projection? Cube projection is not bad. That might look really cool with this texture. UV sphere projection? Ooh, don't do that. And finally, well, maybe. Actually, that might be good. I don't know. Might have to try that out. And then there's also project from view. And what you do with that is select like X up here and lock it into a view. And then click UV project from view bounds is what the one I'd recommend. I need to select all those. Oops. Try that again. UV project from view bounds. And now it overlaps them on the backside, but it makes them fill the whole gap, which could look really cool. Anyway, the point is there's lots of different ways to unwrap the UVs. Kind of just play with them until you get what you're looking for. If you want to preview it in Blender, you just need to go down to our color, change that back to image texture, and then open up that image texture. This will not mess up the VXM Vertex painting, by the way. So let's select that Gem BR, there it is. All right, so now that that's in, we can scroll on the top here and select the preview, and now you can see what that looks like. And so that's how that projection turned out, and that's not bad. I mean, that's really cool. There's definitely some oddities to it here and there, but like, that might be what you're going for. Who knows? Like, that's pretty neat. So, and then imagine an actual texture looking like that. It could be really cool. So, anyway, you get the idea. There's a lot you can do with UVs. But we're not done yet. we are like this close. There's only 2 things left to do, and both of them I'm going to explain out loud, and then I will try to show them, maybe. I'm not sure. Okay, so Vertex painting. We mentioned you could use a trim sheet, so you just saw how we're using textures. Imagine a sheet of textures. I mean, there's lots of options there. We talked about doing it with no texture. We did that. We talked about uploading it with a texture. You can also upload it with an _MEO. I don't really want to show this one because it's just like, it's so obvious. Like, you just upload it with an MEO and you get the metallic emission and occlusion layers. So it's the same thing, but you can use MEO. Pretty neat. So you've seen that plenty of times, I feel like, at this point. Okay, I'll do it. I just in case, we go to texture paint, click a new image, new, and then we select the color, and you remember MEO stands for metallic emission and specular. We're not going to be using the alpha channel this time. We'll keep the emission at 0.5 because it'll glow a little bit. Metal, this all looks good. This should be a good image for this gem. So we'll click image, save as. This needs to replace, we don't actually have a gem MEO, do we? So we'll go ahead and name this gem _MEO, save as image. Heading back into worlds, add new, 3D model. Now we didn't export the FBX, so it's going to use the same UVs from before. So gem MEO plus the gem BR plus the gem Vertex painted for material. Press open and import. So it's literally the exact same as the gem with a texture, except you can add an MEO to increase the amount of features that your gem has. So this should be a little bit shinier. And right click and place. Let's see how this looks. Nice. So definitely getting that metallic look. You can see it's casting shadows as well. Pressing Alt to look around. Not bad. You know, it's very similar. It's got a little bit of glow to it as well. I like it. It's nice. It's a little more gimly. Gimly. Okay, there's one last one, and then we've covered the entire sheet. Look, it's almost all struck out. That's pretty great. And I know we were at almost 2 hours, so that's pretty insane. _BA and _masked VXM. So there's an option to upload it with a masking, and so let's give it a try. Going into Blender, we are going to go to our material. We're going to change the name to be masked VXM. And this allows us to use a image that is got transparency. And so if we switch over to our, and it doesn't, with a masking, you don't get the MEO. It's just BA, which is interesting. Let's switch to untitled. That's not the right one. I want to switch to the blue one. Let's just create a new one. Image, new. And because it supports masking, this is a good opportunity to show you dithering. Let's go and make our thing dithered. So we'll select this. We'll select an alpha of 0.5. Actually, you know, let's go with 1 on the alpha and press new image. And then what we'll do is grab our erase alpha tool right here. The strength is set to 50%, so it should erase 50% of this roughly. And what we'll do is decrease the radius, and I'm going to erase this half right here. And there we go. So that is 50%. So that's with, and then we go to half of that. This half will be 75%. Half of half should be about 75%, I want to say. And then we'll click image, save as, and this is Jim _BA. So Jim _BA and save as image. We then need to export it. File, export, FBX. And I did say it was matte. Well, yeah. Masking, I might do this one more time. Right here, we'll just do half of this, 100%. Masking is what. Masking, as you might remember, is just for cookie cutter. It's not meant to be used like I'm doing here with transparency. That's just to show you what dithering looks like. You're supposed to cookie cutter it. So image, save as, let's replace that. Jim BA, save as image. Now we can file, export our FBX, and we're gonna export that as Jim, and this is with a masked, Jim masked. Vertex paint, and export FBX. All right, we're done with Blender. No need to save. We're out of there. Almost out. Let's go add new 3D model. Cannot wait for dinner. I'm very excited. Select, open, import. Here it comes. Any second now. We're gonna wait this one out. This is gonna be good. It's gonna be worth it. And it's done already. Let's go. Right click and place. And that is a beautiful looking Jim from this side. Press F. I'm a little nervous. Yeah. Okay, so there you can go. You can see that it's been cookie cuttered out. I think dithering only works on VR. Something weird's happening. I was hoping to show you what dithering looks like, but it very clearly did not do the dithering. But yeah, look at that. I mean, that's kind of cool. Look at that masking. That's insane. So if you go inside, can we look the other way? Can I look the other way? How do I look the other way? Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's like upside down heart. Oh my goodness. We have done it, guys. We have made it to the end. I don't think there's anything else left to teach you today. That is all the different ways, all the different things you can bring into Horizon. There is more features. I'm trying to remember some of them, but I think they're almost all on the art side. It's like you can bake a texture. You can, yeah. I mean, you can just play with these values until you get the look you're looking for. And that is a lot of work as well. So we didn't have time to make everything look perfect, but you at least know what the tools are. It's your opportunity to go and use them. So, okay, thanks for joining me. I will see you in a tutorial in a couple days for Blender. We're gonna dive really deep on Blender, just like we did with how to import from Blender into Horizon. All right, guys, bye.